listen to Speaker of the House Mike Johnson.
Tonight, in bipartisan fashion, with overwhelming majority of votes, we passed the American Relief Act of 2025. This is a very important piece of legislation. It funds the government, of course, until March of 2025. That was a big priority for us. This is America First legislation because it allows us to be set up to deliver for the American people. In January, we will make a sea change in Washington. President Trump will return to D.C. and to the White House, and we will have Republican control of the Senate and the House. Things are going to be very different around here. This was a necessary step to bridge the gap, to put us into that moment where we can put our fingerprints on the final decisions on spending for 2025. We also, in this bill, as you know, took care of Americans who desperately needed and deserved the assistance. We had a record hurricane season. Hurricanes Helene and Milton in particular did dramatic damage across at least 6 states, the Carolinas, Virginia, from Florida, Tennessee, all the way through. And they have been waiting for the federal government to assist. We did that tonight in this bill. We also took care of our farmers, many of whom were on the brink of collapse because of Bidenomics, frankly, because the inflationary cost of their inputs and the inability they have right now to get loans from the banks and the lenders to put their crops in the ground, to put the seeds in the ground in the spring. So we had to take care of that, and we did. We are excited about this outcome tonight. We're grateful that everyone stood together to do the right thing. And having gotten this done now as the last order of business for the year, we are set up for a big and important new start in January. We can't wait to get to that point. We encourage swift passage in the Senate now. They need to do their job as the House just did. We will all go home. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year, because I hope not to see you until we get back after that. I was in constant contact with President Trump throughout this process, spoke with him most recently about 45 minutes ago. He knew exactly what we were doing and why, and this is a good outcome for the country. I think he certainly is happy about this outcome as well. Elon Musk and I talked within about an hour ago, and we talked about the extraordinary challenges of this job. And I said, hey, you want to be Speaker of the House? I don't know. He said, this may be the hardest job in the world. I think it is. But we're going to get through this. We are going to unify this country, and we are going to bring the America First agenda to the people beginning in January. We cannot wait to get started. I hope you all have a great holiday.
Do you still want to be Speaker, Mr. Johnson?
Couple different things to take away from this. A few different things, right? First thing is, our acting president is Trump, regardless of the fact that we aren't at the inauguration yet in January 20th. The acting president is clearly Trump. We don't even know where Biden is. I heard that him and Kamala Harris is doing some kind of emergency thing, maybe tied to drones, maybe tied to Biden's health. Who knows? I'm going to stay on top of that. I'm not going to report on it until I get some more information. But it's a lot of going on over the last 24 hours of Kamala Harris and Biden basically canceling whatever plans that they had going on for some kind of emergency thing. But Trump seems to be the acting president already. He's been taking care of business over the last month. On top of that, you got J.D. Vance. He was over there on Capitol Hill, so that's been planned out. But it's a couple different things we need to take care of. So first of all, they broke this down into 3 separate things that they wanted to vote on, okay? Instead of shoving through a whole 1,500-page bill that then also gave raises to Congress members to the tune of about $70,000, instead, they broke this down into 3 essential things, and it's the reasons. I'm going to give you the reasons for it. The first thing that they broke down was they wanted to fund the federal government at least through the holidays and up until March. Well, what does that do? What that does is that gives them the ability to not have a permanent budget that doesn't reflect what Trump and what Republicans was voted on to do, but it does make sure that things are taken care of while not at the same time raising a debt ceiling, which was the second thing that they voted down. This was really Plan C, okay? The second thing that they voted on, and they broke this down into 3 different things, is to make sure that they take care of hurricane relief victims. Obviously, this is something that wasn't taken care of under the Biden administration. It should have been, and it's something that they should have assisted with a long time ago. However, it's not being taken care of, and the people wasn't taken care of, and so they had to get that done. The third thing that they wanted to take care of is our farmers. Our farmers are very important. They need to make sure that they take care of business so they can feed the American people. Obviously, this infrastructure is very important, and also a lot of people think is a matter of national security to ensure that our food supply and sources are robust. All right, so those were the main three essential things that Democrats, to an extent, was holding over the heads of Republicans and saying that they didn't want to do a bipartisan deal. But what happens in this 11th hour is often at times they try to shove through things that the American people don't want and then hold it over your head and say, well, they don't want to fund the federal government because they don't want to take care of farmers. They don't want to take care of hurricane victims. That's not true. But they are incentivized to do so because they want to get home for the holidays for their people. And they're not able to do so unless they actually get a federal budget, right? So again, they didn't want to get a permanent budget that extended through 2025. They only wanted to get something in place so that they can get it funded, negotiated with, and to work through all three legislative branches while Trump takes office, okay? The second thing that I really want to emphasize and I want to have a conversation about is the two people that he spoke to. Obviously, he said that he spoke to Trump. I again think that Trump is the acting president, even if he's not in the office. He's running the whole country from Mar-a-Lago. And then the second thing is he said he spoke with Elon Musk. And the reason that this is important is because we know that this upcoming January 20th inauguration, in which Trump then basically takes the White House on the 21st, also allows for us to control all three legislative branches. So Republicans have a historic moment ahead of them to make sure that they tamp down this federal government and, more importantly, also limit the amount of money that is going over into things that don't matter. And that's why the Department of Government Efficiency is going to exist. That's why Trump is anointing Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. And let me say this, a lot of people, especially liberals, that's complaining about the level of reach that Elon Musk has in our federal government. But in reality, I look at it as we got Tony Stark on our team. And who better to understand how to run companies and let alone, move that over to exist when it comes to the federal government than Elon Musk, because we need to do things efficiently instead of having an overreach in large government. We need less regulation, less social services, less bloatware, less people taking advantage of and funding Ukraine and all of this stuff. We need less of that and more efficiency inside of our federal government. And so while other people complaining, I think that we need outsiders to make more informed decisions and for our legislators to lean on business leaders to make better decisions. Let's continue to go on and see what else they got to say.
Let's be different.
All right, there he is, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, after a victory lap, really. We're with Selena Wang right now, who is our senior White House correspondent covering the waterfront here in Washington as well as in Mar-a-Lago. And Selena, there, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, really, you could almost hear the sigh of relief that came out of him. And as you've been pointing out, he really actually did back down both Donald Trump, who was demanding a change in the debt limit to get either eliminate or raise the debt limit, and Elon Musk, who didn't like the bill at all, and both of them were saying let it all shut down. And Speaker Mike Johnson just kept his head down, did some ordinary politics, got the bill passed. The government's going to stay open. Everybody's going home for the holidays.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough job, as he acknowledged himself. Not only did he have to deal with the whims of Donald Trump, but this time around he had to deal with the world's richest man, someone who is not elected into any office, Elon Musk. He had to deal with both of their demands. And it was interesting that when he was talking there at the end of his remarks, when he spoke about the very two people who he spoke to, it was President-elect Trump and Elon Musk. And what that just really emphasizes, Terry, is how Elon Musk is really this new power center in politics, not just in politics, of course, but also in media, especially conservative media, with his more than 200 million followers on X. But when you look at the numbers, Johnson, he did manage to get a majority of his conference to vote for this. But then you compare that to the Democrats, they were able to get every vote except for one. So he still, of course, he needed to rely on those Democratic votes, and he had to deal with these competing factors, but he did manage to not push through and was able to get this through with his Republican conference without that critical Donald Trump demand about the debt ceiling. But this is just a preview of what is to come. This is kicking the can down the road. He's going to have to deal with a president-elect yet again who is known to torpedo political compromises at the last moment.
He sure has.
So essentially what you see
Need to do their job as the House.
The fact that they was able to get this deal done temporarily. I'm looking forward to the federal government fighting and trying to figure out what to do. I was also okay with them actually shutting down the government, but they was able to avoid that crisis. I figured that they was going to get this done like I predicted hours ago. Let me know what y'all think inside of the chat. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.